27. That's how many times squad cars pulled up to my new home in the first 3 months. 27 times I walked outside with my documentation ready, moving slowly like someone who'd learned that quick movements lead to misunderstandings. 27 times I showed different officers the same proof: original deed, federal paperwork, title search results showing I owned this property free and clear. And 27 times, the woman in the powder blue blazer stood watching from her manicured lawn across the street, arms folded, expression cold, phone always in hand, ready to make another call. Her name was Victoria Ashford, president of Pinecrest Estates Homeowners Association for the past 19 years, and she'd decided from the moment I arrived that I didn't belong here. But Victoria didn't know what I used to do for a living. She didn't know I'd spent 21 years as a fraud investigator for the Department of Transportation. She definitely didn't know about the document sitting in my lawyer's safe, a 1964 survey map that would change everything. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the day this all started. The moving van arrived at 8:15 a.m. on a Saturday in early June. I remember the exact time because documenting details had become second nature after 2 decades investigating highway contract fraud. The house at 2134 Oakmont Circle wasn't much to look at. 2-story Craftsman, weathered siding, a front porch that faced the Cascade Mountains. It had belonged to an elderly recluse named Edmund Carlisle who died without heirs 16 months prior. The county eventually auctioned it off. I was the only bidder who understood what they were really selling. See, buried in the auction documents was something most people missed: a 1964 federal highway easement, original property deed predating the entire Pinecrest Estates development by 41 years, and a private access road that someone had very carefully hidden in decades of paperwork. I'd used my settlement money to buy it, cash, no mortgage. The settlement from my last case, the one where I exposed $52 million in fraudulent contracts and made powerful people very angry. I was carrying my 3rd box toward the house when I heard her. Click, click, click. Heels on asphalt. The sound of someone who expected the world to move aside for her. Victoria Ashford emerged from between 2 perfectly trimmed hedges. Powder blue blazer pressed sharp, silver hair styled into something that could survive a windstorm. Behind her, 5 people in matching polo shirts with Pinecrest HOA embroidered on them. "You're trespassing." No hello, no welcome, just an accusation. I set down my box. "I'm moving into the house I purchased. This property is designated as protected conservation land under HOA jurisdiction. No residential construction has been authorized." I looked at the house, the one with electricity, running water, and 60 years of tax records. Interesting interpretation of conservation land. "I'm Victoria Ashford, president of the Pinecrest Estates HOA for 19 years. She said it like announcing royalty. "You have 24 hours to vacate or will involve law enforcement." "Miss Ashford, I have the original deed from 1964, a federal highway easement survey, and documentation proving this property has never been part of any homeowners association." Her jaw tightened. "Our records indicate otherwise." "Then your records are incorrect." A voice interrupted us, gravelly, amused. "Victoria, you're embarrassing yourself again." An elderly man shuffled across from the neighboring property. Had to be at least 85, but his eyes were sharp behind thick glasses. He carried a wooden cane and moved with the deliberate pace of someone who'd stopped caring about other people's schedules. "Bernard, this doesn't concern you." "I was the county surveyor for 38 years, Victoria. Everything about property lines concerns me." He extended a weathered hand to me. "Bernard Sullivan, welcome to the neighborhood." Victoria's composure cracked slightly. Whatever history existed between them wasn't pleasant. "You're making a mistake, Mr. Dawson. Marcus Dawson. Mr. Dawson, this community has functioned smoothly for 19 years under my leadership." She smiled, the kind that didn't reach her eyes. 24 hours. She turned and left, her entourage following like trained ducks. Bernard watched them go, shaking his head. She won't wait the full 24 hours. He was right. The first squad car arrived at 5:47 p.m., same day. I was unpacking tools on my porch when red and blue lights painted my new home in alternating colors. One officer stepped out, Deputy Jackson Stone. Mid-50s, weathered face, the kind of tired that comes from answering pointless calls. "Mr. Dawson? That's me. We received a complaint. Suspicious activity, possible trespassing on HOA conservation land, suspected illegal construction." I gestured to the house behind me. "This house has been standing since 1964, Deputy. I bought it at county auction. All documentation is inside." Stone studied the house, then me. Something passed across his face. Recognition, maybe. "Let me guess. Woman in a powder blue blazer?" Very specific shade of powder blue. He sighed deeply. "Mr. Dawson, I'll be straight with you. Victoria Ashford has filed 52 complaints in the past 18 months. 47 were completely unfounded, but we have to respond every time." "I understand." "No, you don't." He met my eyes. "She doesn't stop, ever. The last family who tried moving here, the Martinez family, lasted 6 weeks before they sold at a loss. Before that, the Hendersons, 3 weeks. Before that, people didn't even finish unpacking." "How many families total?" 13 that I know of, probably more. I looked at my house, at the mountains through the trees. "Deputy Stone, I appreciate the warning, but I'm not going anywhere." He studied me for a long moment. Whatever he saw made him nod slowly. "Good luck, Mr. Dawson. You'll need it." "Maybe, but so will she." Call 2 came at 6:23 a.m. the next morning. Noise complaint. I was making breakfast. Call 3, 1:45 p.m. Unauthorized vehicle in driveway. My own truck, on my own property. Call 4, suspicious packages. Amazon delivery. Books about property law. Call 5, possible drug activity. I was grilling dinner. By call 10, I'd stopped being frustrated and started being systematic. I bought whiteboards, then a filing cabinet. Every call got logged. Date, time, complaint type, responding officer, badge number, outcome, weather conditions, everything. The log became evidence. The evidence told a story. Victoria wasn't just harassing me, she was running a pattern. Complaints filed strategically, never more than 3 per day, always different categories, vague enough to require response, specific enough to sound legitimate. She'd perfected this system over 19 years and 13 families, but she didn't know what I used to do for a living, didn't know I'd spent 21 years taking apart systems exactly like this one, finding weaknesses, building cases, bringing them down. And she definitely didn't know about the map I was about to discover in Bernard's study. Bernard's study smelled like old paper and pipe tobacco. Filing cabinets lined every wall, floor to ceiling, each drawer labeled in faded handwriting. 38 years of surveys, property records, boundary disputes. 1964, Bernard muttered, pulling open a drawer. Federal Highway Administration Survey. Right here. He unrolled a map across his dining table, yellowed at the edges. Blue ink faded, but the lines were unmistakable. "See this?" His finger traced a thick line. Federal easement, established when they were planning the interstate expansion that never happened. Budget got redirected, but the easement was never rescinded, never transferred. My heart rate accelerated. And this property... Edmund Carlisle's grandfather got the original deed in 1923. Family held it through 4 generations. When the feds surveyed in '64, they recorded the easement but never purchased the land. Carlisle kept ownership of everything. He paused, including the road. I stared at the map. Bernard, are you telling me that Oakmont Circle, the private road connecting 48 houses to the county highway, belongs to whoever owns this house? He grinned. Belonged to Edmund. Now belongs to you. And the HOA has been collecting road maintenance fees for 19 years. $2,800 per household annually. 48 houses. He did the math faster than I could. That's $134,400 per year. 19 years. Over $2.5 million. I felt something shift in my chest. For a road they never owned. A road they've never had the right to charge for. Never spent a penny actually maintaining. Does Victoria know? Bernard's expression darkened. She knows. Found out 6 years ago when she tried getting county funding for repairs. They told her they couldn't. Federal easement, private ownership, not their jurisdiction. She buried the report, fired the accountant who discovered it. Who was the accountant? My niece, Jennifer. Victoria claimed she was embezzling, which is rich considering what Victoria's actually been doing. That night, I transformed my garage into a command center. South wall, police call log, color-coded pins, red for unfounded, yellow for pending, green for documented false reporting. Every pin was red. West wall, financial timeline, HOA fees collected since 2006, contractor invoices I'd obtained through public records requests, payments to companies that didn't exist according to state business registries. North wall, property records, original deeds from 1923, survey maps from 1964, federal easement documentation. And, locked in my safe, Bernard's map, the one that proved everything. Call 12, illegal signage. I'd put up a mailbox. Call 13, hazardous waste, recycling bins. Call 14, threatening behavior. I'd waved at a neighbor who waved back. Victoria saw from her window. Call 15, unauthorized business operation. I'd received a FedEx package. Deputy Stone started bringing coffee when he responded. We'd stand on my porch, him apologizing, me adding another red pin. Why don't you just leave? He asked during call 17. Most people crack long before this. Deputy Stone, you know what I did before I retired. Something with roads, I assume? Fraud investigation. Department of Transportation. I was the lead investigator on the Riverside construction scandal, the one that made national news in 2018. His coffee cup froze halfway to his lips. The $52 million case? The fake companies billing for highways that were never built? That was mine. 3 years of documentation, 1,400 pages of evidence, exposed a network that went all the way to a deputy director. Stone was quiet for a long moment. You're not going to stop, are you? Would you? He smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from him. No, I wouldn't. Call 21 came and went. Suspected weapons stockpiling. 0 weapons. Then someone unexpected pulled into my driveway. 9:30 p.m. Honda Accord, maybe 12 years old. A woman in her mid-30s stepped out, checking around nervously before approaching. Mr. Dawson? Who's asking? Jennifer Sullivan. I used to be the HOA accountant until Victoria fired me 6 years ago. She held up a flash drive. I have everything. Inside, she spread documents across my kitchen table. Pinecrest Management LLC, shell company registered in Nevada. Victoria and her husband Raymond are the only shareholders. Road maintenance fees flow through the HOA general account, get invoiced to the shell company for contracted services, then disappear into offshore accounts. She pulled up spreadsheets, numbers, dates, transfers. How much total? $2.7 million over 19 years. Probably more. I only had access to the last 7 years before she locked me out, but I copied everything first. Why come to me now after 6 years? Jennifer's expression hardened. Because I heard what you did to Riverside Construction. Uncle Bernard told me about you. Said you were the first person in 6 years who actually listened about the map. I studied the documents. Professional, thorough, the kind federal prosecutors love. Victoria destroyed my career, Jennifer continued. Told everyone I was stealing. I couldn't get accounting work anywhere in 4 counties. Had to start over. 6 years of rebuilding. And you kept the files all this time? Because I knew someday someone would come along who could actually use them. She met my eyes. Was Uncle Bernard right about you? I looked at the documents, at the map on my wall, at this woman who'd waited 6 years for justice. He was right. Victoria must have sensed something shifting. Her response was predictable. Escalate. Call 22 came at 3:15 a.m. Suspicious lights. I was reading. Call 23, 3:58 a.m., same night. Possible prowler. The prowler was me getting water. Call 24, 4:32 a.m., gunshots reported. There were no gunshots. 4 calls in one night. She was losing control. The patrol truck started 2 days later. Pinecrest security painted on the doors. Men in tactical vests circling my property every half hour from sunset to sunrise. Quick records check confirmed Pinecrest Security wasn't a registered company. They were Raymond Ashford's construction crew playing security guards. I documented them too. License plates, shift patterns, the specific times they shined flashlights through my windows. Then the letters started arriving. Not for me, for everyone else. Emergency assessment notice, $6,000 per household required for enhanced security due to criminal elements on Oakmont Circle. Criminal element. That was me. But one neighbor, a woman named Patricia Hayes, knocked on my door the next morning. Mr. Dawson, I received a letter. Did you really threaten Victoria? Miss Hayes, I haven't spoken to Victoria Ashford in 4 weeks. The last time I saw her, she was telling me I had 24 hours to leave my own home. She said you're dangerous. Ask her to show you the contractor invoices. Ask her which company has been doing the road repairs she's been charging everyone for. Patricia left confused, but I saw it, that first crack in Victoria's wall of control. The cracks always start small. I made 3 calls that week. First, my former colleague, Special Agent Rachel Montgomery at the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Rachel, it's Marcus Dawson. Marcus, you're supposed to be enjoying retirement. I tried. Retirement found me. How do you feel about HOA fraud? Shell companies, offshore accounts, 19 years of fabricated fees. A pause. I feel very interested. Second, Thomas Chen, contractor who'd helped me on the Riverside case, one of the few honest builders I knew. Tom, I need a survey crew and a bulldozer, large one. For what? Emergency drainage repairs on my private property. A low whistle. You're making someone's life difficult. I'm correcting a 60-year-old engineering problem. Third, Elizabeth Porter, property law specialist, who'd been my attorney through the Riverside whistleblower settlement. Elizabeth, I'm about to do something that will make a lot of people angry. She sighed. Of course you are. Tell me everything. I talked for 40 minutes. When I finished, she was quiet. Marcus, what you're describing isn't just HOA overreach, it's racketeering, wire fraud, potentially money laundering. I know. And you want to bulldoze their road? I want to repair my road, the one I legally own. If that repair cuts off 48 households temporarily, that's a consequence of property rights. You'll need ironclad documentation. I have 60 years of property records, 7 years of financial fraud evidence, licensed engineering survey, and a former county surveyor who can testify to everything. Another pause. When do we start?
She came herself to call 29. Not the police, not her fake security patrols. Just Victoria Ashford standing at my driveway's edge at sunset, powder blue blazer glowing in the dying light. How much? Excuse me? How much to make you leave? Name your price, double what you paid, triple. I walked down from my porch, slow and deliberate, until I was close enough to see the fear in her eyes. Miss Ashford, I didn't buy this house because I needed a place to live. Then why? I bought it because I found something interesting in federal records. A 1964 easement survey, an original deed, and a private access road that 48 families have been paying you to maintain for 19 years. Her face went white, then gray. You don't know what you're talking about. $2.7 million, Victoria, give or take, funneled through Pinecrest Management LLC to offshore accounts. I've seen the records. 7 years of invoices for contractors that don't exist, and a 2019 report you buried. Who told you? Doesn't matter who told me. What matters is I have documentation, the kind federal prosecutors find very persuasive. She tried to recover, straightening her spine. You're making a powerful enemy. I spent 21 years investigating fraud. The last powerful enemy I made serving 12 years in federal prison. I stepped closer. I've faced congressional hearings, testified against deputy directors, had my career threatened, and my family followed by private investigators. I smiled. Do you really think you scare me? This isn't over. No, but not the way you think. The survey crew arrived at 7 a.m. the next morning. 3 trucks, professional equipment, licensed engineers. Victoria appeared before the first tripod was set up. Behind her, Raymond and his fake security guards. This is private property. You're trespassing. The lead surveyor didn't look up. Ma'am, we've been contracted by the property owner to conduct a boundary survey. That's him. He pointed at me. And according to the deed we filed with the county yesterday, he owns every inch of road we're standing on. Victoria's color drained instantly. That's impossible. I stepped forward with the document Elizabeth had prepared. 19 years of fees, Victoria, collected for a road you never owned. She grabbed it from my hand, read it, then read it again. This is fraud. You fabricated this. Call the county recorder. They filed it at 9:15 yesterday morning. Behind her, Raymond was already on his phone. His face told the story before his words could. 48 households watched from porches and driveways as the survey crew worked methodically, measuring, photographing, documenting. Patricia Hayes approached first. Mr. Dawson, what's happening? Your HOA president has been collecting road maintenance fees for property she doesn't own, never has owned. 19 years, $2.7 million. Patricia's face went through complicated emotions. She raised our dues 4 times? Said contractors were expensive? The last contractor invoice I found was for a company that dissolved in 2014, 2 years before the invoice date. The crowd was growing. Neighbors who'd paid without questioning. Call the police, Victoria screamed at Raymond. But he wasn't calling local police.
The black SUVs appeared at 11:15 a.m. 4 vehicles, federal plates, agents and Navy windbreakers with 3 yellow letters I recognized immediately. Agent Rachel Montgomery stepped out of the lead vehicle. Victoria Ashford, I demand to know what this is about. FBI Financial Crimes Division, we have warrants for your arrest on charges of wire fraud, money laundering, and racketeering. She read the charges calmly. We also have warrants to search your residence, your husband's business, and all accounts associated with Pinecrest Management, LLC. This is absurd. I'm the HOA president. I've served this community for 19 years. Ma'am, you'll want to stop talking now. 2 agents approached Raymond. A third entered their house. A fourth began photographing the security vehicles. Victoria's composure shattered. Not a crack, a collapse. "You did this," she pointed at me. "You ruined everything." "No, Victoria, you ruined it 19 years ago when you decided lying was easier than leading. I just documented it." Rachel placed handcuffs on Victoria's wrists. "Ma'am, you have the right to remain silent. I strongly suggest you exercise it." The handcuffs caught the morning light, silver against powder blue. 48 households watched their president being led away. Some looked shocked, others looked vindicated. A few actually applauded. Bernard appeared at my elbow. 38 years I waited to see someone actually listen.
The bulldozer arrived 3 days later. Not for revenge, for drainage. The original 1964 survey had noted a significant grade problem on Oakmont Circle, water runoff eroding the road base, creating structural instability that worsened every year. Edmund Carlisle had ignored it. The HOA had ignored it. Victoria had charged people to fix it without ever acknowledging it existed. I was going to fix it properly. The blade dropped at 8 a.m. on Tuesday. Clean, precise, federal highway specifications. It temporarily cut off HOA access. For 72 hours, Pinecrest Estates was isolated except through an old service road 3 miles east. The complaints started immediately. To the county, to the state, to anyone listening. But engineering reports were clear. The drainage problem was real. The repair was necessary, and the property owner had every legal right to correct deficiencies on his own land. Elizabeth handled the lawsuits. 5 filed in the first week, all dismissed within 30 days. On day 4, I opened access through the western entrance. Proper grade, proper drainage, proper engineering. The road was better than it had ever been. The trial happened 9 months later, federal courthouse downtown. 4 weeks of testimony, 387 exhibits, 8 witnesses who'd waited years to tell their stories. Jennifer testified about the shell company. Bernard testified about the buried report. I testified about 19 years of systematic fraud. Victoria's defense attorney tried everything. Procedural objections, character attacks, claims of selective prosecution. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on 14 counts of wire fraud. Guilty on 4 counts of money laundering. Guilty on 3 counts of racketeering. The judge delivered sentence without emotion. Victoria Ashford, you used a position of community trust to systematically steal from families who believed in your leadership. The court sentences you to 20 years in federal prison. You will pay restitution of $3.1 million to affected households and are barred from holding any fiduciary position for life. Victoria stood motionless. Powder blue blazer, silver hair, eyes that had gone empty somewhere between verdict and gavel. Raymond received 14 years. Coming home. The restitution checks went out 7 months after sentencing. Average payment per household, $64,500. Some families wept. Others just stared at numbers representing 19 years of theft finally returned. 1 year later, I stood on my porch watching sunset paint the mountains amber and gold. The road was smooth now, properly maintained by a legitimate contractor who submitted real invoices for real work. The HOA still existed, restructured under new leadership. Patricia Hayes had been elected president unanimously. Her first act was implementing transparent financial reporting. Her second was sending me a handwritten note. Thank you for not giving up. Bernard passed away that spring, 91 years old.
Peaceful, according to Jennifer. He left me the original 1964 easement document. I framed it and hung it in my study next to the whiteboard still holding all 29 police call records. Deputy Stone stopped by occasionally, not for complaints anymore, just coffee. "You know," he said during one visit, "I've been on the force for 32 years, never seen anyone do what you did." "What did I do?" "You documented your way to justice. No violence, no shortcuts, just paper and patience." I thought about that. The truth is always there, Deputy. Most people just don't have the patience to find it. He raised his cup. To stubbornness. To stubbornness. Some nights, I still hear sirens in my dreams. 29 calls in 3 months. 29 attempts to make me disappear through bureaucratic exhaustion. They thought 29 would break me. They didn't understand 29 was just evidence. The real victory wasn't the trial, the sentence, or even the restitution. The real victory was simpler. I'm still here, sitting on my porch, drinking my coffee, watching the mountains turn gold at sunset. The road is mine now, maintained properly, serving the community like it should have served for 60 years. And somewhere in a federal facility, a woman who once wore powder blue blazers is learning what happens when you mistake authority for ownership. Some things you can't take, some things you can only earn. I earned this house. I earned this view. I earned the right to sit here knowing the truth, documented properly, filed correctly, defended stubbornly, will always outlast the lies. That's the only lesson that matters. If you've ever stood your ground when everyone told you to walk away, if you've ever documented the truth when lies were easier, then you know why this story matters. Because justice isn't just for courtrooms. Sometimes it starts with one person, one property deed, and the patience to outlast everyone who tells you to give up.